Alright, welcome back everybody, it's DestinysJesus here. As we all know, Fortnite is pretty boring at the moment. However, I know a lot of you guys who watch this channel have been subscribers for a long time still want to get better, but obviously with summer you guys want to be outside, you want to be doing things, you don't just be sitting inside playing 12 hours of Fortnite a day. So in this video I'm going to cover the best ways that you guys can get better in a very short amount of time. The best ways are just improving and getting the most out of the short amount of time. You can basically do everything in this video in under an hour, roughly, and you're going to get the most improvement possible for into the future. Let's say when you guys start full trial in the game, or when you start playing a little bit more. So it's basically something that you can do to sort of tick over a whole load of creative maps that are really good, that are going to get as much improvement possible from your time spent on the game, since obviously you're not playing as much at the moment. The first map we're going to be showing here, this is probably the most efficient map that you can do in terms of just making good progress while playing Fortnite, in my opinion. Ray's done a fucking insane job. I don't know how he's done like 90% of this stuff on it. It's kind of crazy. And probably the most useful thing on here, of course, is there are a whole lot of things like challenges over the side. This edit crosshair training is really good. This is sort of what Diego does the whole time. These are very typical piece control tunnels where you build and replace, and you also do some target stuff on there as well. But the most useful thing in here that I think you guys can be doing is this peak training. Make sure you put it on hard just so you're a little bit more challenged, as you can see here. And I'll explain how this works. It's absolutely crazy how he's actually managed to do this. So basically, whenever you actually display yourself to the bot and your hitbox is visible, he's going to be able to damage you immediately. It's basically like someone having really good like metro pre-fires. As soon as you peak for like half a second, he's going to go ahead and hit you. So if you do like a bad edit that you do in game and you get away with like this, before you can even shoot him, the guy's going to be able to hit you. So basically, anytime you do a bad edit, you're going to get hit. So you have to do instead, try to think about doing smart edits where you're not going to take any damage. An edit like this where you can go ahead and hit the opponent, or an edit on a right hand peak where you can just go in and actually pre-fire like that and take them out. The issue is with this is you have to try to do 200 damage to the bot without getting hit in return, which actually sounds harder than it is, but when the guy's pre-firing you on like 0 milliseconds, you can see that he's already pre-firing me around the corner because he can hit me. That's when it becomes a lot more challenging and you need to get really good peaks. You basically need to do like perfect peaks onto the bot over and over. Don't get yourself into the habit like I just did there, where you just run towards and just sort of full edit course the bot. Instead, try to hit some nice piece and then try to actually finish them off without actually taking any damage. So basically, every time you go in, just notice where they are and then go in and try to do some kind of peek onto the bot where you're not going to take any damage. Any type of jumping peek like that's going to work really well. You can't do things where you like run around corners and go like this, because as you can see, as you go round, if you don't place that wall straight away, you're going to get hit. So you need to make sure you're doing a right peek and take them out straight away. Some of the useful things on this map, of course, these build and replace tunnels. You guys should have seen these like 100 times before, where you just replace and then go through. Practice using shotgun replaces as well, just like this. Also, there's these really useful tunnels here that you can do as a warm-up, where you go through and you basically just got to edit course and try to find a target as you're going through. And one of these new modes that I actually quite like is you can do things like this, where you have a flat 3x3, you've got bots that are 150 or 200, and then you can do like 1v3, 1v4, and just practice fighting versus multiple opponents. Of course, it is only bots. However, it is really good to actually practice hitting smart shots. All of the bots are going to go ahead and try to hit you. And again, you can just do this over and over, where you just practice fighting versus a whole load of bots at once and practice warming everything up at the same time. Okay, so our first map is going to be this map here. You basically just want to do random matchmaking. Of course, you can do this with a friend, but I recommend doing the random matchmaking mainly because the issue with one of your friends over and over now, especially, is because you sort of get used to how they fight. And with this and random matchmaking, you're always going to be fighting someone completely different. Sometimes you run into absolute drones. Sometimes you're going to run into the best player ever. As you can see, this guy I'm fighting is not actually too bad at all. Earlier I ran some kid of like 1k earnings, and I actually just make it pretty challenging in terms of having to fight a load of different people. As soon as you get a bit bored of the guy you're fighting, you can go ahead and just do matchmaking like this. And you can also go ahead and choose your loadout. I recommend using shotgun SMG if you want to practice that in game. You can do random as well, so you get a whole load of different stuff. You can do shotgun AR. And then you can just choose whatever shotgun you want as well. I recommend using the striker if you use that in game. But if you run attack, or if you want to practice the 2-shot a little bit, it is definitely one of the best ways to practice that. So all you want to go ahead and do is just go up and queue it randomly. You're going to get put into some matchmaking with some random little goat, and then you can just 1v1 them and constantly swap out your opponents. Don't do more than like 20 1v1s versus the same guy. It's not really the best practice here. And you're going to be able to see that you're going to get a whole lot of variety of people to fight. The one reason why I'm recommending doing this compared to in the past where I've sort of recommending doing realistics instead of box fights is because this is a little bit better just because you're kind of capped at a height. And also I think the matchmaking is way better. You're going to get a queue really quickly. You shouldn't be out of the fight for more than 30 seconds. And again, you just get a whole load of variety of people. Oh my God, this piece of me up. As you can see, because you're in a box, you can't really just lay upwards, you can't escape too much. One thing you can do with this is just practice defensively box fighting only, so just shoot someone, then box up, wait for them to come to you if you need to work on that. Or if you want to work on offensive box fighting, you can do that as well. Just wait for them to box up, give them some time to heal, and then fight them when they're boxed up. Just choose what you need to work on most, what you think affects your solo gameplay the most, and then you can go from there. Alright, and next up is going to this headshot only box fight map. This is just probably the best way of practicing your shotgun aim in game. Aim dueling and stuff like that is obviously really good as well, but if you're just trying to do like a quick 5 minutes, just do a couple rounds of this, bang it out, make sure you're hitting your pumps. It's going to make sure you're feeling warm and crispy, and it doesn't take too long to start as well, so it's always a decent amount of people that queue it up. This is basically the map that every single pro that I know uses when they first hop on. They don't do aim duels anymore, they just go ahead and start one of these and queue up a whole load of other pros, and then obviously you should try to compete and try to get the highest score possible on the leaderboard. As you can see, you just get a pump. I don't know why these kids have voted for pump, but it's basically the same as striker. You should try to practice striker. Alright, so as you can see, it's pretty good for just practicing aim. I don't know why these kids are chosen to do pump. Make sure you try to do striker. Really no point practicing the pump at the moment. Okay, so the last thing, honestly, it really pains me to recommend you guys to do this, especially at the moment, since it is just, I don't even know, it's just so challenging. But Solo Arena is probably the best state it's ever been in terms of difficulty. The kids in Solo Arena are literally a different breed, especially on EU. The kids in here are just fucking unreal. Literally, you'd be running into Noah Riley in his prime, sprinting around, triple edit coursing. It is insane. If you guys can get in some consistent arena games a day, it is probably the best way of actually practicing your solo fighting at the moment. And obviously that does translate over to duos and trio events really well. Just practicing fighting in solo arena, land up a ZPY, and then go from there. I would say it's probably the best way of working your fighting outside of things we've already covered in this video, which is sort of more warm-up type things and creative type things that are going to improve other aspects of your gameplay.